Hello. This is a story called The Blue Jay and the Speckled Bird. The drawing behind me is neither one of those. It's actually Raven in his many disguises. And I thought it might be a good accompaniment for this story, visual. The psalmist asked, "What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him?" It's easy to forget sometimes that this human universal condition is present. One day, a student of mine had a reminder. Tamara had taken ceramics from me in the 7th grade. She did well in class, but had other interests and did not make ceramics a venue again in either middle or upper school. While attending the prep, right up until she graduated, she was always friendly whenever I saw her on campus. It would remind me that it's nice when somebody remembers you, recognizes you, and says hello. So even though I didn't see her much, I always felt Tamara and I had a rapport. Then when she was a senior, her orbit started including the ceramic studio again. She would just drop in and say hello or what's up. Then one morning, Tamara came into my classroom before school began. "Mr. Randle, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Absolutely, have a seat." This was new. She had never asked to speak to me like this, with me like this before. So we sat down. This morning, as every morning, for the last 10 minutes before the opening bell, students attended homeroom in various classrooms throughout the school. They signed in for attendance and received announcements for the day. The kids in my homeroom were following this procedure, all the while Tamara and I sat there and chatted. Finally, she spoke of what had brought her in. "Mr. Randle, on the way to school the other day, the most amazing thing happened. I was walking along the street and this beautiful blue bird came down and lit in a bush right by the sidewalk. A blue jay. Then it hopped down and it was as close as this to me." She held her hand down near her feet. Looking at me intently, she asked, "What does that mean?" I thought, wow, I can hardly wait to hear what I'm going to say. I haven't a clue. We chatted a little bit more. Then about blue jays. I told her I had never seen one in Brooklyn and that there were all kinds of jays, stellar jays, pinion jays, all kinds of jays. She said, "No, this was definitely a blue jay." You know, Tamara, when something like that happens to me, I always see it as the universe reaching out to say hello. "Thanks, that helps," she said, her eyes tearing up. Then homeroom was over, the bell rang, and we got up to begin our respective classes. "Mr. Randle, there's just one more thing. When this happened, there was a lady coming along the sidewalk toward me. As she approached, I said, 'Look, do you see that beautiful blue jay?' And she said, 'Oh, yes.'" Tamara indicated the woman's with a shrug and a dismissive wave of her hand. Then she just went on. I mean, it didn't mean anything to her. Why was that? I said, "Tamara, that special greeting from the universe was just for you." She beamed. Then we both went on and had a great day. Soon thereafter, I went up to visit the shaman in Ontario, Canada, where he had a home he called Villanaka, like Aranaka in Tucson. It was a large home, but with 3 stories instead of 1, made of red brick and cedar cladding, with pitched shingle roofs and dormers. A huge cedar hedge shielded it from the road. There were formal gardens on one end of the property, and on the other, at the edge of the forest, it overlooked a lake and a small valley. It had a semicircular entry drive centered on a formal portico. I was staying with Francis and Michael, friends who lived in this neighborhood. Their place was within an easy walk of Villanaka, so I could go and see the shaman whenever he was having people in. I visited him several times that weekend, but when my time there was over, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I really missed this parting word. I had appreciated the weekend so much and wanted to tell him. It didn't happen. When it was time for me to return to New York, Francis offered to take me to the airport. We set out first thing in the morning so I could catch an early flight. Francis went to get the car while I brought my bags. As I came out on the front porch into the fresh morning air, I heard a strange sound. It was high-pitched, almost like someone calling their pet. "Here, lad, here, boy." But it sounded like, "I." I couldn't tell where it was coming from or quite make out what it was saying. It seemed to call. I asked, "Francis, do you hear that?" "Yes." "Where's it coming from?" She looked around and then pointed across the road. There was a great speckled bird sitting on a bare limb at the top of a tree. Focusing more carefully on the bird, I saw that it was making the sound. I listened more closely still. It was saying, "Bye, bye, bye." When Francis and I got in the car, I told her the story of Tamara and the blue jay. Then I added, I discovered when speaking with Tamara that the universe could reach out to say hello. Then this morning, I was reminded that it could also reach out to say goodbye. Was it the shaman appearing as the great speckled bird? Did he know I wanted to say goodbye, so he came to see me off? Perhaps it was like the visitation of the hummingbird at Aranaka. Who knows? But it's fun when the universe reaches out to you and speaks. Before I left Brooklyn and moved back to Texas, I addressed the students in chapel at the prep one last time. While preparing for the talk, I wondered, what could I say that might be important to them for the rest of their lives? I should ask the raven. So when I was on stage in the assembly, I summoned him in the form of a finger puppet I had made of Raven so we could have a conversation. So pretend this is the finger puppet, okay? I said to him, "Thanks for coming. What's the most important thing that you could say to everyone right now? We have just one last chance." Up in the audience, I saw Sabrina, one of the coaches and teachers, listening closely. "Rock," said the Raven. "The most important thing is pray for gratitude." Sabrina's face broke out in a smile that lit up the auditorium. I always loved it when the adults enjoyed these stories too. "Pray for gratitude," I said. "I thought you're either grateful or you aren't." "No," he said. "Gratitude is a gift. Pray for gratitude." All right, so gratitude must be important. Yes, as the shaman says, gratitude is the gateway to abundance. You mean like for money and? No, more. Abundance of life, abundance of love, abundance. Then the great raven croaked, "Now, on behalf of the universe, the shaman, and the great speckled bird, I bid you bye, bye, bye." And he flew away. Thanks for listening.